All right, let's get started. So, looking at the picture, you can clearly see that there are not many variety of colors here. It's mostly going to be around the warm colors, like the yellows, the browns, the reds, um, and even if there's yellow, it's almost very dull. Raw sienna, the browns, even in the blacks, they're all very warm. Okay, it shows the planet here. Okay, so we're going to keep those kind of colors here, maybe a little bit of the blue, but still we're going to keep it very warm and not go too much of green or cool colors here. We're going to keep the temperature of the painting as warm, as well as the mood of the painting as really warm and bright. Okay, and the way we're going to approach this painting is, first we're going to do like a wash over the sky or the atmosphere here, and then while that dries, we're going to move on to the bottom here, so that we can tackle all these areas. Okay, so this is how we're going to go, and this is going to be a little bit tricky, but that's okay. So we're going to tackle all those things slowly. Okay, so let's get started by first doing the wash here. And for that, you can see the colors that I have here is, um, this is the raw sienna, this is the red, brown, and I have a little bit of blue to make a little darker color, almost like the grays here. I do have a different form of red, which I may use a little bit. And yeah, we need to definitely make some orange with this yellow. Okay, so these are the colors that we're going to just keep in mind, and not too many colors. It's going to be a very limited palette, because that's what we are hoping here to establish, a very warm palette here. So here we go. We're going to start with these colors, and we just need a big brush so that we can just spread across this area. Okay, and I think I might use a flat brush here so that I can go very quickly. All right, so I'm going to take some yellows, some red, mix some orange here. Keep that ready. Okay. Remember, it's always important to mix some color in your palette. Um, that way you can really work on your painting very quickly. Okay. And I do need some yellow. I'm just going to charge it with some water so that when I need it, there it's ready to go. Okay. So let's get into this. And I'm going to go across this whole spacecraft here. Okay. Other than the people here, I'm going to go everywhere. All right. So I'm just going to go in here with some clean water first. Okay. I'm going to almost to the end here, but I won't be putting too much color towards the end on the right hand side, because I really want it to just fade away in the on the edges. Okay, so here we go. Not going to put any water on the bottom because I want to tackle it differently. And this is going to be a bit of a challenge that, not go over the people. So slowly I'm going to go around it, add some water, and keep it nice and clean so the color doesn't get into there, because I want to keep them crisp and intact. Okay, this is okay. Okay, so all right, let's get into this. I'm going to take, while this is wet, I'm going to take advantage and use my yellows here and just go into the sweeping motion, possibly in just one direction, Try not to go over it again. Go from top to bottom. Mix a little bit of sienna here, yellow sienna, raw sienna, sorry, in the yellow. Okay. Again, I'm going to keep it super light. Okay. Taking some orange here. Okay. I'm going to try to keep this minimum. All right. Maybe a little bit of orange. Just so that it looks different. Because see, I'm using so light, too much watery mix that it's going to dry really light. Okay. So I want to make sure that there's enough color here. Okay. Okay. This is good. While the top dries, I'll give you guys a minute to catch up. I'm going to start going for the bottom colors. Okay, so I'll give you a minute to catch up. Okay. Okay, yeah, that looks good. So for the bottom, you can see that one thing I want to show you from the black and white picture here. You can see that how dark these rocks are here. Okay. So I'm going to keep sure that they are dark. You want to make sure that they're dark, but you see the two astronauts, they're really dark. Okay. So they're going to be darker than the spacecraft and the other things here. So you have to keep in mind how light or how dark to go. And you see this is so light and this is darker than this one. So whatever colors you use, make sure that how light or dark it goes. Okay. So we'll do the same colors here. I'm going to use a um, layer of yellow, same warm colors that we use everywhere, nice orange and some browns here. Okay. So we'll go ahead with that. So first, we're going to go some yellow. I need to mix some orange first. Maybe a bit of brown. Let's see how it goes. It's too much. Yeah, I think this is good. Nice earthy color. Nice, really earthy colors. Okay. So I'm going to take some tinge of yellow here. Oops, sorry. I'm going to get in. Give a very, very light wash. Okay. And it doesn't have to go everywhere. Maybe just here and there. And I'm going to probably pick some away from the rocks. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to go in and get those orange around those rocks. And it's okay if this is not perfect. You may lose some shapes here and there. It's completely okay. Remember, they're just rocks. Just try to remember their shapes here. It doesn't have to be perfect. What's important is the values, how light or how dark they are. Look, while this is wet, I'm going in very quickly because I am getting this opportunity to paint them while they're wet. So they're going to look really nice without any hard edges. It is very important in watercolors because you want to look like it's been printed, especially realism. It looks as if it's a photograph, because that's what I try to achieve as a realistic watercolor artist. Okay. While this is still wet, I can still go into this little darker red here, almost very maroon, and get into some areas that can just really brighten it up in some areas. Maybe mix a tinge of blue as well, darken it up, maybe too dark. So we'll just stick to the red here and not the blue. Just in a few areas, not the whole thing. We don't want it flat, right? Okay. Now I'm going to just leave this here as it is. Okay. And see if this is ready. No, not yet. I need a little more time for it to dry. So while that dries, we can still move on to these rocks. Okay. Now you can see they look black, but they're not. They're a mixture of grays and a little bit of black and a little bit of browns. And I actually see a lot of purples and everything. So I'm going to keep mixing whatever colors I already used so that they can be a part of it. Okay. Taking a small brush, I'll give you guys a minute to catch up and then we'll move on to the next area, the rocks. Okay. So if you have any questions, please let us know. And we'll be happy to answer right away. Okay, I'm going to use a smaller brush because I think it's better to handle it in a small area. All right, let's get started. Uh, Let's go with this browns. I'm going to take some of the brown. Mix it with some blue. Let me test this out, how it looks. Oh, too dark. Okay, maybe a bit of red here, just to just tone it down. Still too dark. Yeah, I think this looks good. Okay, so I'm going to go in the same way, light and dark, light and dark. I'm going to just look at my picture, and some places I'm going to just leave the whites a little bit, and some places I'm just going to, lighten it here. Okay, and remember, some you can see rocks are like on each other or a joint, so I'm treating them as like one shape here. Okay. Just little different variations here. Maybe I'll add a little bit of blue, maybe I won't, but trying to keep it as light as possible because we're going to add more darks here, okay? Can use some browns here. Keep it a little varied, a little bit of browns, a little bit of, just here and there. Mix it up. It's not something I was supposed to do, but that's okay. Just think of the shapes when you're painting shapes like rocks. They are very irregular in shape. And the most important thing here is mine is the lights and darks here for them to pop up really. But otherwise, whatever colors you use really doesn't matter. You can have pink rocks, you can have blue rocks, that's all fine. But just make sure that they look uh, real in shape. The shape is important, the values are important. Almost everything that you paint, those are the two important things. That's the shape. If you think of a face, right? The shape of the face is very important, and the values, wherever the lights and darks are, wherever the shadows are, that's what makes someone look like they're themselves, like realism, right? So those are the things, like what is the shape of the eyes? Those are things you need to keep in mind when you're painting anything. Just two important things, the shape and the values. That's what mostly everything in the world is made up of. Look at the tree, look at anything actually. Okay. So, well, we can let it dry. Okay. And in the meantime, this needs some yellow here. Okay. All right. This mountain behind here is also quite light. So we can add some orange here, some raw sienna, just to give it a little variation. But overall, it's quite light. Okay. All right. Now we can add some orange here. It's still slightly wet, but we can go ahead and do some colors here. So I'm going to add some orange in the base area, and then we're going to top it up with some browns. I'll give you guys a minute to catch up. Okay, let's go in. As long as it's not too wet, I think I can go ahead and paint in this. At this point, your painting may not look very nice. You're going to really feel like, what are you doing? The rocks don't look like rocks. Nothing looks like anything that shows in the picture. It's okay. Um, the painting doesn't look like real until it's almost 80-90% done. Um, so don't worry about that. If it doesn't look like anything like the picture, you have to enjoy the process. You have to really, I'm going to take some raw sienna. You have to really accept it that it's in the ugly stage. I call it as the ugly stage of the painting. Believe me, it's not fun. And every time I see those ugly stages, I feel like giving up and I feel like this is not even worth trying. And it just feels like maybe I can just start all over again, because that always seems like the shorter route, instead of keep going. And I feel like maybe I can do this again, and this time better. Now, there's nothing wrong in starting your painting again, but you're going to keep feeling this thing again and again, that it's not worth it and I'm not a good painter. But believe me, I have been through this, and I always still struggling with this phase that this painting looks horrible and I think you should just abandon it, tear it, throw it away, and just shut it off. But every time I've been a little patient, I've been happy with the result. And even if I have not been happy, people have always appreciated me. So, or appreciated my work. And some of those paintings that I really, really hated actually won many awards. So, do not throw your paintings, do not leave or abandon your paintings. It takes time, um, and you have to just trust the process and just keep moving. Yes, sometimes I have restarted paintings after spending 30, 40 hours into this, but it's rare now that I leave any painting and restart. I just go on, and it's been very, very fruitful for me, like how I learn to fix them, right? Because you are going to make mistakes, and no doubt you want to be that first stroke itself as a perfect stroke, which rarely happens. And watercolor is colors is all about actually um, letting go and actually embracing that process, that those happy accidents that is going to happen when you're not able to control that water and the paint that's flowing on the paper. So let it be. It's okay if you make a mistake, you can still fix it. So here we are, and you can see that I've left some spaces here where it looks quite white, and I'm going to keep moving forward with the other areas. You can see that I finished orange. Next, I'm going to add some browns and a little bit of reds and some grays. Okay, so I'm going to make a little bit of these gray here with some blue and some brown. Okay, that's going to be the next one. And in the end, we're going to do the people here. Okay, so I think this is quite dry. So we're going to get into um, more grays here. Let me mix some more dark grays here. Okay, so I'm going to start here, and some of them I'm going to really paint like nice and dark and rich. Maybe a little bit of blue here and there, just for them to sparkle a little bit. Some rich colors here. Okay, especially at the bottom of the rock, okay, where they're sitting on the ground. that needs to be dark, because if you, because of the shadows here, right? If you keep something on the table, you'll see that the bottom of the jar or whatever the bowl is darker, because light is not coming there. So it is definitely going to be dark. Okay, so we keep that in mind, that the darker bottoms means it's sitting on it. You cannot make it light, otherwise it will not look like, it's been sitting there. And that's why, some people's paintings don't look real, because the bottoms are not dark here. Okay, so that's very important here. No matter what color you make, it has to look dark. Okay, than the ones on the top. They cannot be all the same values, because then they won't look different from each other. So whatever your values you're choosing, light, dark, in between, they all have to look different. A bit of red here. To give a little bit of variation here and there, so they look all different, right? We don't want to look them all rocks look the same or whatever, right? A little bit of variation here and there, and I'm going to come back to it, add some more colors to it. All right, we're done with this. Next, a little bit of um, darks here. This is almost dry. I'm going to just put some plain water here and add some darks by mixing some grays, so that they look softer here, because they are in the distant, right? It's a distant mountain. A little bit softer here, blacks and browns, but soft. Okay. Same. This is peeking through it. A little bit of yellow here. Actually, we need a little bit of yellow too here, because it's really lightened. Okay. All right. Let this dry and we'll come back. Right by then, we will move to this people now. Now, this looks absolutely red, but it's got these under layers of orange and reds here. Okay, so we're going to keep the same here. Some reds here. This has become a little dirty and messy, so I'm going to just clean it up. So we want it really bright. Okay, all right, I'm going to take some red, some yellow, nice and dark. Okay. So here we go. We start on the top. Go really slow on this one, because these shapes are super small and they need patience. Okay. The smaller the brush, the better for this one. And yeah, I know it's going to take forever, it looks, but believe me, it will be done before you can imagine. But this requires patience. So I'm going to use all these nice, beautiful reds here. Okay, I'm going to mix a little bit of red and orange here. Keep keep some variation. Okay. Add a bit of red wherever I feel it needs some dark, some tones. And remember, these two people, both astronauts, although their clothes are red, they're not exactly the same value. Okay, if you see things a little lighter on this because of the light that's hitting here, okay, so going to keep, I may even add a bit of little bit of yellow here to make that light orange. So you have to make sure that even though they're red, they still look different than each other. Okay, you cannot make identical uh, or red and orange, you know, clothes here because then they're going to look flat. Okay, so make sure of that. Take your time to study your subject. If there are 10 red flowers, can they all be the same? Not at all. You will find them. One would be the lightest red, one would be the darkest, one would be somewhere medium, one would may have, even with reds, different tones. Some may be bright, some may be dark because there will be shadows there. So make sure you take your time to study your subject. Okay. Otherwise, they'll all look boring and flat. And when the viewer looks at the subject or the painting, they don't know where to look. They all look the same, right? So you have to make sure that one flower will stand out. Okay? So this is very, very important. All right. We're going to let these two astronauts dry. Okay? And next, we're going to move on to the same spacecraft here. I'm going to mix some browns. Okay? Dark browns, some light browns. All right. Here we go. We're going to start from the top here. Maybe a little bit of red here because I just don't see completely brown. Just have some warmth here, okay? And I want to keep that warmth, maybe orange, maybe some reds, but some warmth is very important to make that bright, okay? And I may need a little bit of orange later here, but maybe we can try now. Some more orange. It's very dull. So we can start a bit of orange here, tiny bit of red. Okay. Not much color in the bottom. Just going to leave it as it is. It's just a little hazy. Now I'm going to take those browns. While this is wet, I'm going to take the opportunity, take some thick paint, thick brown paint, okay? And just make some patterns here as seen in the picture so that it shows there's some texture on it. Okay, take some blue where I feel it's really dark, add some red for some warmth. I'm just going to continue till the bottom, till I feel there is some variation here, some dark here. Continue the same here on the sides where it's darker. Some more dark here. A little bit of dark on the edges. I'm just trying to see where I can add the dark so that the other areas pop out. Okay. We can take care of that small area later. All right. This is still wet. I cannot take care of this right now. So we're just going to wait it out a little bit. Okay. It's 2 minutes. Let's finish this rocks. Now we already got really dark underlying, bottom of the rock. Sorry, and then we can just add a little more middle layers here, just a little bit of variation to make it look different than each other. Again, using the same grays here, blue mixed with some browns. I need a little more brown here. Burnt sienna, just to make some more colors. I'm going to mix some grays here. Okay, keep it in the middle layers here. Okay. Just making small changes, small variations of colors here. Some dark, some light. And you'll see as the paint dries, it'll get lighter and lighter. So I may have to go back and add some layers here. Okay, I think this is good. All right, so we're going to just wait for this to dry. We have a couple more areas here. Just do the ladder here. Um, this is good. Maybe just give it a little more of the shape and the structure here. Clean it up a little bit, and then we're going to finish this with the true astronauts. If you have any questions, please let us know now. Any questions, we'll be happy to answer. Um, yeah, we're almost towards the end of the painting, and you can see that slowly, 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 things are coming alive and the painting has started to look a little real. You can see how the temperature of the painting is so warm. It feels like Mars, right? Hopefully, this is Mars. And the sky has the same colors as the earth has the same colors as the spacecraft. Everything is blending. Okay. And this is very important in any painting or any art form. Some connection has to be there from one element to another, from one shape to another, because then they look like one. Otherwise, they look like different pieces just standing by themselves. So there has to be some transition. There has to be something that connects from one element to another element. And I know this takes some practice. Um, if you see nature, that's how it is. There's something that's always connected. Okay. So just give me one more minute and then we'll just move on to the next one. Okay. Um, I'm just going to mix some brown here and try to make this clean so that these shapes look neat and clean. Okay. Same on the side. It's important that it looks same. Okay. I'm going to take a bit of this dark orange and red mix and just go in between the two ladders here. Think I missed the shape here, but that's okay. We'll just go in between. Maybe we'll add some white paint, but for now we'll just leave it here. Yeah, I'm just going to keep it as it is. Here, I'm going to take some raw sienna, a little bit of orange. Okay. Next, wherever I can, I'm going to just add some darks for the rocks to look like rocks. Okay. Now, if you see the astronauts, their clothing has bit of dark reds here to show all the creases here. And that's very important for it to look very realistic. So we're going to take a little of red here and mix some either blue. It's too dark. I'm going to take some red, or you can mix with brown, but it has to be definitely darker than what the red we have applied. So yeah, this is really dark and nice. Okay, thick and dark and nice. And you can also see that, all this, I don't know, they have a bag or a buckle or whatever is on their shoulders. Those dark spots here, these dark spots here, and all those creases. And this is very important for the variation, to show all the shadow areas, to show all the creases. Same, we're going to go ahead and same add those dark areas here. Okay. A little bit of dark areas again near those gloves that they're wearing to show some structure, some shadow. Okay, and I know it's super tiny, you can barely see, but it's okay. Just make some dark area just to show that okay, something is happening here. It may not be very perfect because this is so tiny and so small. I realize that it's little oranges, maybe add a little bit of reds here. Okay. Okay. And I know I didn't mention about this earlier, but I actually wanted to do a little bit of like splatter painting on the rocks. And maybe you can do this now. Take some of these browns. And I don't want to cover this, but maybe we'll wait for a minute and then do this area because I don't want it to go in the other area. So we'll just cover that. But basically on the rocks and the on the soil area, I wanted to add some darks of reds and browns. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover this area and add some of this splatter. Look, it's just a brush, a toothbrush. I'm going to load it with some paint and I'm going to just going to splatter it. I'm sure everybody in their younger ages must have done this. I'm going to take different colors, maybe even yellow. Okay, maybe blue. Let's see. Yeah, just a little bit of just to show some soil, you know. So you can see that it gives so much of texture and color difference here that you may not get with the brush. Okay, this will look very, very real. Okay, so definitely try this technique with many other ways as you can. And you can see now how the painting is looking so real with the atmosphere. If you want, you can go back and add some more yellow in the atmosphere, make it look like really warm sky, maybe like a sunset sky. And you'll see how beautiful it will start to look. You can even add now. I can just let you know how we can take a look at this. So this is still quite, just add a bit of yellow here. Just be careful not to disturb the other areas. Okay. Some yellows here and there. Okay. And yeah, you can see that the mood changed completely. It's so warm and so pretty that it looks like they're actually standing there. And same with a little bit of the hands that you can add. Same here, you need some darks here for it to look like they're keeping their hands around on the side. Okay. This part definitely takes some patience because of how tiny these areas are. And if I see on this side, it's definitely darker than the other areas. This connects. See? Small things, but you have to notice these things to make it look real. Again, look, I'm going back again to these rocks because they keep drying light and I want it super dark, like nice rocky feeling. Same here. You need to be dark because they have become so light now. And they're good now. So with this, we actually complete the painting. Don't forget to sign the painting and hope you keep painting. This session is probably recorded. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want a feedback for this painting, let me know. If you can tell me what you want to paint next, that would be great. So yeah, that would be really great because we always love to paint what our patrons want to paint. It makes it easier for us to choose, makes it easier for us to really deliver what everybody is looking for. Thank you so much for joining.